Question number 11, Jan Logie.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Women and asks, does she support Equal Employment Opportunities Commissioner Jackie Blue's proposal for companies with more than 250 employees to declare gender pay gaps?
The Honourable Louise Upston.
Mr Speaker, I fully support organisations voluntarily reporting on their gender pay gaps, and I'm pleased that the public service is leading the way.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker.
Order. Supplementary question, Jan Logie.
Does she support the EEO Commissioner's call for 3 more women ministers in Cabinet to achieve gender balance?
Mr Speaker.
Honourable Louise Upston.
These are, of course, matters for the Prime Minister, and I'm sure he's making great decisions on it.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order. Point of order, Jan Logie.
I wasn't asking if she was going to make the decision. I asked if she supported the call.
Order. No. No. When I consider the question, it's addressed the question. It's the Prime Minister who decides who's on the Cabinet. Further supplementaries?
Sorry, point of order. Just seeking some clarification, Mr Speaker, around the role of the Minister as an advocate for women and whether you could expect clarification.
The member can certainly do that, and the way to do that is to continue to ask good, concise, supplementary questions to the Minister. Supplementary question, Jan Logie.
What does she plan to do in response to Dr Jackie Blue's observation, quote, "We've asked nicely, we've implored, we've pleaded, not much is happening. Women's representation in Parliament has actually gone static," unquote.
The Honourable Louise Upston.
As that member will know, one of the priorities for the Ministry for Women is developing and progressing women in leadership. One of the areas that I'm most proud of is that on state sector boards, this government has the highest percentage ever.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question.
Point of order, sorry.
Point of order.
I know it's frustrating. It was around that quote applied specifically to women's representation in Parliament. And I'm not sure the role of...
Again, the question started with what's the Minister planning to do, and her answer definitely addressed the question.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Jan Logie.
Why is she absent from so many public discussions, including just this weekend on The Nation with Dr Jackie Blue, on issues that are critical for women, like representation, violence and pay?
The Honourable Louise Upston.
Mr Speaker, I'm proud of our record in government in terms of achievements in the highest levels of women's participation in the workforce and in leadership like state sector boards, and there is a range of work that this government is doing, and I'm proud of our record and I'm proud of the work that I'm doing as the Minister for Women.
Order. Question